Are you suffering from pain from gallstones? That is definitely not something fun to live with. And thankfully, there's a solution, the simple solution to stopping your pain. My name is Chen Profesorski. I'm a naturopath. I practice Chinese medicine and shamanic medicine. But the most important aspect from all this that helps people with gallstones to stop suffering is mostly nutrition-based. Because the main reason we suffer from the gallstones is that we tend to squeeze the gallbladder onto them, or squeeze the gallbladder and liver and then cause the stones to fly into the ducts where they can get stuck, and oof, does that hurt. Okay, so if we know that that is the main reason why gallstones can be painful, how can we change this situation? Well, stick by me. I'm giving you the specific details, rough details, of course, because that would take a couple of hours to give you the full details verbally. The most important thing is to help the gallbladder and liver squeeze gently. And how do we do that? Well, there's two factors that affect the strength of the contraction. One is the amount of fat you digest at any given time. So if you take like a couple of tablespoons of olive oil and eat them in your salad, that's a lot of oil in one shot. And that will cause the contractions to be strong to cope with all that oil that needs to be digested. That is the reason why they get contracted. They pour the bile onto the fat so that we can digest it. The other option is when we eat something that is animal-based. In other words, if we eat meat or cheeses or eggs, when the body encounters food that is from animal sources, it knows that the kind of fat contained within them is harder to digest, and therefore it squeezes the gallbladder and the liver much stronger for the same volume of fat. That we might actually never get such a strong contraction if it was the same volume in oil from vegetable sources. So the first solution that I strongly suggest, at least until you resolve this issue, if you really want to stop suffering, is to go vegan. I know it's drastic for some people, but since it's supposed to be a temporary solution, it shouldn't be that much of an issue, since you simply don't want to suffer, right? So what do? We move to veganism for the time it takes you to totally remove the stones naturally, hopefully. And then, even with the vegetable sources, fats, oils mostly, you still need to have a few rules to stick by. Okay? So, I'll give you the basic rules, even though there's a hell of a lot more to this. Right here, right now, so write it down. 1 is what I said about the veganism. 2 is about not heating up the oils. If you totally don't heat them, the system is really relaxed in response. If you heat them some, then you're starting to play the roulette, the Russian roulette. Is it going to be a strong enough reaction to cause trouble, or was that a gentle enough warming? Just avoid heating up the oils. Okay, add your fat consumption into your meals during the meal itself. Don't heat them. You can make some tahini, you can have some olive oil, you can have olives, even though it's harder to count the amount within the olives, but only when you don't heat it in advance. And that way it comes through much better. Then you need to have the right amount. Now, this is per weight, per body weight, how much you really need to eat. It also depends on how much exercise you're having. So I can't really give you the exact formula for you, but the average is about a tablespoon of oil or equivalent per meal. So if you don't overindulge per meal, or if you don't overindulge in general, because that's actually number 3, it's about not having too much oil in general. And number 4, if you don't eat more than the third of this amount, which is about a tablespoon per meal per meal, then it's fine. I mean, if your daily consumption should be something like 3 tablespoons, and if you put it all into your lunch and don't eat fat in the other meals, you're still going to be potentially having colic. You're still going to challenge your gallbladder and your liver to strongly squeeze out. So you still might get painful reactions. But if you only take that 1 tablespoon, you don't heat it, it's only vegetable sources, you're in good shape. And if you really want to take it to that next level, number 5 is go back to the original source, or as far back as you can go. You can have some sesame seeds, fresh, not fried or cooked or salted, obviously. Or you can have tahini, because tahini is actually only 1 grade of preparation before you get to the meal. The same source of oil, when it's already in cold pressed sesame oil, is already much more available to the body and much more challenging to the gallbladder and liver. It'll probably be okay if you use cold pressed sesame oil, but if you can have it in a less processed mode, your body will probably react even better, because if you need to digest the fats before they get to the point where the liver and gallbladder jump into action, which is, well, half an hour to an hour later at the very least, because it's in the intestines already. When you take a nut, for instance, and you chew it and you digest it, then the oils from the nut will be dripping from the stomach to the intestines. Dripping, slowly feeding the intestines with, liver, gallbladder work. If you have a tablespoon of oil, even if it's cold pressed and wholesome, the oil tends to flow down into the intestines much faster. It takes less time to digest, obviously, and therefore it becomes a more triggering potential. It's not 100% dangerous, but if you really want the peace of mind, it's worth learning this system. It's not that difficult to use the oils in more, in their original sources. Have nuts, have seeds, have almonds, have avocado, etc. These kind of sources will always be more safe for the gallstone issue than anything else. Okay, so these are the basic rules. Now there's a whole lot more to be learned, and there's a whole lot more factors like emotional and self-realization factors that can affect your suffering. It doesn't just end with food. So if you really want to go down into this rabbit hole and understand what to do in order to live better, and it'll probably be for the best for your life itself, how you feel about it, then you might want to read our guide. It's called Stop Gallstone Suffering. And it's available digitally online and for a very cheap price. Just save yourself the pain. Okay? Until next time.